Welcome to the ultimate microbial showdown, virus versus bacteria. These two microscopic titans may be invisible to the naked eye, but their impact on life is monumental. Picture this. Viruses are the stealthy pirates of the microbial world, always on the hunt for a host to hijack. On the other side, bacteria are like resilient survivors, thriving independently and multiplying like wildfire. Our story begins with a question. Have you ever wondered what makes you sick? Sometimes it's a sneaky virus slipping past your defenses or a troublesome bacterium wreaking havoc. But they're more than just disease causers. Together, they shape ecosystems, influence human health, and even battle each other in an invisible war. In this video, we'll explore these microbial rivals, comparing their strengths, weaknesses, and strategies for survival. We'll see how viruses need a host to live, while bacteria can go solo. We'll dive into their structures, behaviors, and their roles in nature, both good and bad. Get ready for an adventure where science meets drama. By the end, you'll not only know the differences between viruses and bacteria, but also develop a newfound respect for these tiny powerhouses. So, buckle up for the microbial match of the millennium. Virus versus bacteria. Who's the ultimate microscopic master? Viruses are the ultimate stealth agents, earning the title of the pirates of the microscopic world. Why? Because they don't play by the rules of life. A virus is no more than a small packet of genetic material, DNA or RNA, wrapped in a protective protein shell called a capsid. Some even wear a sneaky lipid envelope for disguise, allowing them to infiltrate host cells undetected. But here's the catch. A virus can't do anything on its own. It's like a pirate ship stranded without a crew. To survive and replicate, a virus must invade a living host. Once it finds a suitable cell, the virus docks, injects its genetic material, and takes over the cell's machinery. The host cell becomes a viral factory, producing new virus particles until it bursts, releasing the pirates to find their next victim. Viruses are specialists, targeting specific hosts. Some go after humans, causing illnesses like the flu, chickenpox, or COVID-19. Others target plants, animals, or even bacteria in the form of bacteriophages. Despite their reputation for causing chaos, viruses aren't all bad. They play crucial roles in ecosystems, regulating populations, and even driving evolution by transferring genetic material between species. Think of viruses as the wild card in nature, small, simple, yet capable of incredible feats. But are they any match for the resilient and resourceful bacteria? Let's meet their microbial rivals next. Now let's shift gears and meet bacteria, the true survivors of the microscopic world. Unlike viruses, bacteria are fully alive. These tiny organisms are single-celled, living independently, and can thrive in almost any environment, from the depths of the ocean to the human gut. They come in various shapes, rods, spheres, and spirals, each uniquely designed to adapt to its surroundings. Bacteria are remarkable in their complexity. Inside their simple, yet sturdy cell wall, they contain genetic material in the form of a single circular DNA strand. Some bacteria even have extra DNA in the form of plasmids, which help them evolve rapidly, like a built-in survival toolkit. They also have features like flagella, which act as motors, allowing them to swim toward food sources, and pili, which help them stick to surfaces and other bacteria. What makes bacteria so resilient is their ability to reproduce asexually through a process called binary fission. In ideal conditions, a single bacterium can multiply into millions within hours, creating entire colonies. Some bacteria can even survive extreme environments by forming endospores, a kind of protective cocoon that shields them from heat, radiation, and harsh chemicals. Not all bacteria are dangerous. Many are beneficial. They help digest food, produce vitamins, and protect us from harmful pathogens. But there are also harmful bacteria that can cause diseases like tuberculosis, pneumonia, and strep throat. So, while bacteria can be your ally, they can also be your enemy. Now, Let's see how these two microscopic forces, viruses and bacteria, measure up against each other in a head-to-head comparison. Now that we've met these two microbial competitors, let's compare their size and structure. This is where things get interesting. Viruses are tiny, almost unimaginably small. In fact, most viruses are so tiny that you would need millions of them lined up to stretch just 1 inch. A virus is made up of a tiny core of either DNA or RNA, surrounded by a protein coat called a capsid. Some viruses even have an additional lipid envelope. Despite their minuscule size, they are incredibly efficient at what they do, infecting and replicating inside host cells. On the other hand, bacteria are larger and more complex. Bacteria are single-celled organisms with a much more elaborate structure. They have a rigid outer wall called a cell wall, which provides them with shape and protection. Inside, they contain a single circular DNA strand. But some bacteria also have extra pieces of DNA known as plasmids. Bacteria can have different appendages such as flagella for movement and pili for sticking to surfaces. This complexity allows bacteria to be far more adaptable in diverse environments than viruses. But don't be fooled by size alone. While viruses are much smaller, they are experts at commandeering other living cells. Bacteria, although larger, can survive on their own in a variety of environments. So, which one is more efficient? Let's dive deeper into their survival tactics in the next scene. When it comes to reproduction, viruses and bacteria have very different approaches. Viruses rely entirely on their hosts for reproduction. Without a living cell, a virus is essentially inactive. The process starts when a virus attaches to a host cell and injects its genetic material. This hijacks the cell's machinery, forcing it to produce viral parts, new virus genomes, and protein coats. These components then assemble into new viruses, which are released when the host cell bursts, often destroying it in the process. Some viruses can even go into a dormant state, waiting for the right moment to activate and infect new cells, like a well-planned ambush. Bacteria, on the other hand, can reproduce independently through a process called binary fission. This is a form of asexual reproduction where one bacterium splits into two identical daughter cells. Each new cell is an exact copy of the original, and under optimal conditions, bacteria can reproduce at an astonishing rate, doubling in number every 20 minutes. Bacteria also have a special trick up their sleeve. Some can exchange genetic material through horizontal gene transfer, allowing them to acquire new traits like antibiotic resistance, which is one reason why bacterial infections can be so tough to treat. So, while viruses are completely dependent on their hosts for reproduction, bacteria are capable of rapid, independent reproduction, adapting and evolving along the way. Which of these two will dominate in the long run? Let's look at how they interact with their environments next. Now, let's take a look at how viruses and bacteria interact with the body's immune system. When it comes to defending against invaders, the immune system is the body's first line of defense. Viruses are stealthy. Once they invade a cell, they can remain hidden from the immune system, which makes them harder to detect. Some viruses even have ways of evading immune detection by changing their outer protein coatings, a process called antigenic variation. This means the immune system has to constantly adapt to new viral strains. Viruses like influenza and HIV are notorious for this ability to mutate rapidly, making long-term immunity difficult. On the other hand, bacteria are more detectable. Once they invade, the immune system can recognize them through their cell walls, which often contain distinctive molecules. White blood cells called phagocytes can surround and engulf the bacteria, effectively removing them. However, bacteria are not defenseless. Some bacteria have developed mechanisms to evade the immune system as well, such as producing toxins that interfere with immune cells or forming biofilms that protect them from detection. Interestingly, bacteria can also trigger a stronger immune response than viruses. This is why bacterial infections like strep throat or pneumonia often come with symptoms like fever and inflammation. The body is ramping up its defenses. In contrast, viral infections may cause symptoms like fatigue and mild fever, but the immune system is often in a more prolonged battle against the virus. So, when it comes to survival, both viruses and bacteria have learned to outsmart the body's defenses in different ways. Now that we understand how viruses and bacteria interact with the immune system, let's explore how they cause disease and damage within the body. Viruses tend to cause disease by infecting cells and taking over their functions, which can lead to cell death or malfunction. The body's response to the virus is often what causes symptoms. For example, when the body reacts to a viral infection like the flu, the immune system releases molecules that trigger fever, fatigue, and muscle aches, all part of the process to fight off the virus. Some viruses, like HIV or hepatitis, can even attack the immune system itself, weakening the body's defenses over time. Bacteria, on the other hand, cause damage in a variety of ways. Some bacteria are pathogenic and produce toxins that can damage tissues directly. For example, the bacteria that cause tuberculosis damage the lungs, while Clostridium botulinum produces a toxin that can paralyze muscles. Others, like E. coli, can damage the digestive system by disrupting the balance of good bacteria in the gut, leading to severe stomach cramps or diarrhea. Bacteria may also trigger inflammation, which can cause redness, swelling, and pain as the body fights off the infection. In some cases, bacteria can form biofilms, which protect them from the immune system and antibiotics, making infections harder to treat. While both viruses and bacteria cause diseases, the way they damage the body is different, and their effects can range from mild symptoms to life-threatening conditions. Now that we've seen how viruses and bacteria cause damage, let's discuss treatment and prevention strategies for each. For viruses, treatment is tricky. Since viruses can't be targeted directly with antibiotics, the focus is on managing symptoms and supporting the body's immune response. For example, antivirals like oseltamivir for the flu or antiretroviral drugs for HIV can help reduce the severity of symptoms or slow the progression of the infection. However, for most viral infections, rest, hydration, and over-the-counter medications like pain relievers and fever reducers are the main methods of relief. Vaccines have been a game changer in preventing viral diseases. Vaccines for measles, polio, and COVID-19 have helped reduce or even eliminate some viral threats. Bacterial infections, on the other hand, are often treatable with antibiotics. Antibiotics work by targeting specific bacterial processes, such as cell wall synthesis or protein production, which are not found in human cells, making it easier to kill the bacteria without harming the body's cells. However, the overuse and misuse of antibiotics have led to the rise of antibiotic-resistant bacteria, a serious global health threat. To combat this, doctors are prescribing antibiotics more cautiously and developing new drugs to fight resistant strains. Preventing bacterial infections also involves proper hygiene, vaccination, and cooking food thoroughly to avoid foodborne illnesses. Ultimately, while viruses and bacteria both cause serious illnesses, their treatments are vastly different, and prevention is key to keeping both at bay. As we've explored today, viruses and bacteria may seem similar, but they are very different in how they function, reproduce, and interact with the body. Viruses are microscopic invaders that need a host cell to replicate, and their methods of evading the immune system and causing disease make them difficult to treat. Despite this, vaccines have been incredibly effective in preventing viral diseases, and antiviral treatments continue to evolve. Bacteria, on the other hand, are living organisms capable of independent reproduction and survival. They can be both helpful and harmful, depending on the strain. While many bacterial infections can be treated with antibiotics, the rise of antibiotic resistance poses a significant challenge. Bacteria's ability to evolve and adapt quickly means that new treatments and prevention strategies must always be on the horizon. Both viruses and bacteria have learned how to survive and thrive in their own unique ways, creating ongoing challenges for our immune systems and medical science. However, by understanding their differences and the strategies each employs, we can be better prepared to face these invisible threats. Whether through vaccination, hygiene, or the development of new treatments, the battle between our immune system and these invaders will continue. But knowledge is our most powerful weapon in this ongoing fight. Thanks for joining us in today's deep dive into viruses and bacteria. Stay healthy, stay informed, and be ready for the next viral or bacterial showdown.